Have you ever felt as if the ground beneath your feet was crumbling, leaving you with nothing solid to hold on to? Have you found yourself questioning everything you once believed to be true? It's a feeling of deep confusion, isolation, and even pain, yet it also feels like something important is happening beneath the surface, something that's changing you forever. If this resonates with you, you might be going through a spiritual awakening. But here's the question everyone asks: why does it hurt so much? Today, we're going to uncover the deeper truths behind why spiritual awakenings are often accompanied by emotional, mental, and even physical pain. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just about the struggle. It's about discovering the profound transformation on the other side of that pain. Let's explore why this journey, while difficult, is leading you to something beautiful. One of the primary reasons spiritual awakenings feel so painful is that they require the dissolution of your old self. For years, perhaps even your entire life, you've been building an identity based on the expectations of society, your family, and your experiences. This identity was how you navigated the world. It gave you a sense of belonging, even if it was built on false premises. But during a spiritual awakening, that identity begins to crumble. The beliefs and roles you once held tightly to no longer make sense. Suddenly, you may find yourself questioning who you really are, what your purpose is, and whether anything you once valued still holds meaning. This process feels disorienting and terrifying. It's like the ground beneath you is shaking, but instead of solidifying, it continues to crumble. That's because your old self, the one built on external validation and ego-based desires, was never the real you. It was a facade. And now, it's being stripped away, leaving you exposed. The pain of losing this old identity feels like a death, because in many ways it is. You're letting go of the person you once believed you were. And without that identity to cling to, you're left in a void of uncertainty, unsure of who you're becoming. At the heart of this identity crisis is your ego. The ego is that part of you that clings to a sense of control, that needs to feel special, important, and validated by the outside world. For the ego, the idea of change is terrifying, because change threatens its very existence. During a spiritual awakening, your ego is forced to confront the fact that much of what it believed to be true, about you, about life, about the world, was an illusion. Your ego's grip on power begins to weaken, and in response, it fights back. This internal struggle between your awakening soul and your clinging ego creates intense psychological tension. The ego doesn't want to surrender control. It thrives on attachments to labels, to status, to material things, and even to your thoughts. So when the spiritual awakening process begins, and you start to recognize the futility of those attachments, the ego panics. This inner resistance is what leads to so much pain. You might feel anxious, confused, or even angry. The ego will do whatever it can to maintain its sense of identity, and it can create a lot of mental chaos in the process. But here's the thing, this battle with the ego is necessary. The ego needs to loosen its grip so that your true self, the self that is connected to your soul and to the divine, can emerge. This is where the pain is transformed into growth. It's through this struggle that you begin to transcend the ego and align with your higher self. Another reason spiritual awakenings are so painful is that they bring to the surface all the emotional wounds you've been carrying, often without realizing it. These are the traumas, the unresolved emotions, and the limiting beliefs that have been buried deep within your subconscious mind. During a spiritual awakening, these wounds rise to the surface so that they can finally be acknowledged and healed. This can feel like opening Pandora's box. All the pain, sadness, fear, and anger that you've suppressed over the years comes rushing back, and it can feel overwhelming. This is the emotional purge that accompanies spiritual growth. It's not pretty, and it's certainly not easy, but it's a necessary part of the process. You see, these wounds need to be felt, released, and integrated into your being in order for you to move forward on your spiritual path. It's as if the universe is saying, you can't carry this baggage with you any longer. It's time to heal. But facing these wounds is excruciating. You might find yourself crying for reasons you can't explain. You might feel anger bubbling up inside you for past wrongs that you thought you'd moved on from. This is the pain of releasing your old hurts. Yet, in that release, there is freedom. By facing these buried emotions head-on, you give yourself permission to heal, to let go, and to rise above the past. One of the most difficult aspects of spiritual awakening is the sense of isolation that often comes with it. As you awaken, you begin to see the world through a new lens, one that many of the people around you may not understand. You may find that your relationships begin to change. The conversations that once felt fulfilling now seem trivial. The people you used to relate to may no longer resonate with the new version of you. This can lead to a profound sense of loneliness. You might feel as though you're the only one going through this transformation, and that no one else truly understands what you're experiencing. This loneliness is painful. Humans are social creatures, and when we feel disconnected from those around us, it can create a deep sense of sorrow. But remember, this isolation is temporary. As you continue on your spiritual journey, you will begin to attract people who are on a similar path, people who understand the depths of what you're going through. For many, spiritual awakening includes a period known as the dark night of the soul. This is a phase where everything feels bleak. It's as if the light has gone out of your life and you're left wandering in the darkness, unsure of what's real anymore. During this phase, you may feel completely lost, disconnected from both the world and yourself. You might question everything you once believed in, including your spiritual beliefs. The dark night of the soul is often accompanied by feelings of despair, depression, and an existential crisis. But while this period feels like endless darkness, it's actually an incredibly important part of the awakening process. The dark night is the death of the false self. It's the complete dissolution of the ego, and in its place, the emergence of your true divine nature. In the darkness, you are being purified. All the illusions, fears, and attachments that no longer serve you are being stripped away. And while this process is deeply painful, it's also transformative. When you emerge from the dark night, you are reborn, more aligned with your soul than ever before. At this point, you may be wondering if the pain of a spiritual awakening ever ends. The answer is yes. The pain is not permanent. It's part of the process of shedding the old, so that you can embrace the new. Through this pain, you are being guided toward your higher self. Every tear you shed, every moment of confusion, every dark night is leading you closer to your true essence. You are becoming the person you were always meant to be, free from fear, ego, and illusion. Spiritual awakening is not easy, but it is worth it. The journey is difficult, but the destination is a life of greater peace, purpose, and connection to the divine. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share your experiences in the comments below. Let's build a community where we can support each other through these profound spiritual transformations. Remember, you're not alone in this journey.